The big question right now, should you skip the Rebel and just buy an RHO, or should the question really be, should you skip the RHO and buy a Rebel? That seems to be the big question regarding these trucks. Should you skip one, buy the other, vice versa? We're going to try to answer that in today's video. And the problem is just like anything else, guys, it depends. But I think there is a clear winner under a select set of circumstances, so make sure you stay tuned to the end and we'll go over. So as you guys know, I work down here at Tempe Ram in Tempe, Arizona. If you're followers of the channel, that's not a secret. I always leave a link to the website down below, as well as my email if you are interested in anything that you see out here. Now, I'm not trying to sell you anything, okay, give me a break, but there are some pretty stark differences between the Rebels and the RHOs, and people are acting like there almost isn't, which I don't really understand. One big difference is we have a collection of Rebels right now, right here, ready to go. You can buy one today as you're watching this video. Most of the Rebels come with the standard output motor, 420 horsepower, 469 pound-feet of torque. Those numbers are really easy to remember, and I don't need to tell you why. Contrast that with the high outputs that you're going to have in the RHO at 540 horsepower and a 0 to 60 of 4.6 seconds, just a fraction slower than the old TRX at 4.5. The other big question is off-roading. Now, they're both much better than your regular 1500s, but one of them definitely has some stronger suits for, say, higher speed off-roading, right? That TRX type frame and suspension and everything is impeccable when it comes to those kinds of things. But the Rebel is no slouch inherently by itself either. Now, people are acting like these trucks are just the same amount of money, which they're not. You can buy a Rebel with a lot of good equipment for an MSRP of somewhere in that 70-ish neighborhood. I'll put a link up to one of those right now. Versus an RHO with any actual level of equipment, your MSRP is more in that 80s to 90s neighborhood, right? So it is a slightly different class of truck. Now, just like everything with Ram, you could absolutely load a Rebel and get a base RHO, and sure, they'd be pretty close, but that's not what most people are gonna do. What's kind of weird is I don't hear this debate nearly as much on the Ford side, right? I don't hear the conversation of should you buy a Raptor or should you buy a Tremor, right? And the Rebel is definitely more like the Tremor, and the RHO is a lot more like a Raptor. One big separating factor that'll make the decision really easy for you is that the RHO is going to have a towing capacity of a little over 8,000 pounds, while the Rebel can be equipped to tow over 11,000. So if you're towing 9 or 10,000 pounds, then ding, 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 you have a winner. Now, me personally, I would probably buy a Rebel because I do a fair amount of towing and I'm kind of cheap, but also, I'm not super into the higher speed off-road kind of thing. If I was, I'd probably have a Can-Am or a Polaris or something like that. I do a lot of hunting, right? Things like that. So I want to get my trailer to wherever I'm hunting and then drive my truck around. Not be one of them lazy road hunters, of course, but be able to get around. Now, I know so far it seems like I'm kind of leaning towards the Rebel. I don't want that to be the case. There's certainly a huge use case for the RHO where it absolutely dominates the Rebel. Just like I say, me personally, and what I use my truck for, I might lean towards a Rebel. But there's one of the major things that the RHO has a huge advantage in is that high output motor, and I don't just mean the power. According to Tex and a couple other people that I've talked to about the differences in the high output and the standard output, the high output was designed first. It's supposed to be just bulletproof, rock solid, blah, blah, blah. The standard output is kind of just a dumbed down version of that. Now, I'm not trying to hate on the standard output. So far, it's been really good. But it has, what is it? It has one of those EGRs. Quiet, that's a secret. Not everybody needs to know. But it has an EGR, and they just barely got it to where it can take regular fuel, whereas the RHO is truly a high-performance, high-octane motor to an extent. That's the way it's designed. Twin-turbo, inline-six, you gotta run premium, baby. That's the whole point of it. Make sure you watch some of the other videos on my channel. I made a really in-depth video about the Rebel. I'm not really making a hugely in-depth video about the Rebel itself here. I'm more just comparing the two, but make sure you watch that video if you are wanting to check out some more particulars about these trucks. So I think you guys can see kind of what I'm getting at. If you want that, bitchin' fast, tons of power, high-speed off-road type of truck, then the RHO is probably for you. If you want, just a good regular truck that's very capable off-road and can tow your stuff, maybe the Rebel's for you. I think part of the reason that they're getting compared as well is the look, right? The Rebels and the RHOs are going to look pretty similar. Aside from, you guys know, the RHOs are going to be a little bit thicker all the way around, right? A little different suspension setup and things like that. But like I say, to me, they're really not as comparable as people are trying to make them be. People are acting like they're basically the same truck with a few minor differences, and you may as well just buy the RHO. That's not really the case to me. I think there's some pretty stark differences in pretty different use cases, and not that they don't overlap. They do a little bit. But really, I think the choice is pretty clear depending on your uses, right? Like I say, if you're looking to have a truck that'll tow your regular stuff, and maybe you're like me, you go hunting and you want, just a good solid truck to tow your camp trailer there and have something nice to get you from where you're going to start walking, because like I said, we're not lazy road hunters around here. Just joking. I have a buddy who's a big-time road hunter. He knows who he is when he's watching. But other than that, guys, like I say, I think the use cases are pretty distinct. Now, if you just want an RHO, go for it. If you just want a Rebel, go for it. But don't let everybody confuse you. There's some massive differences between the Rebel and the RHO. I don't know why people are pretending there's not. But that's going to do it, guys. Make sure to drop a like, leave a comment. Let me know why I'm right, wrong, or indifferent. Make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.